Welcome to Ken's Corner Podcast, Season 4.
Hey everyone, it's Ken from Ken's Corner, and today I'm back with Joe Moyer right here on Sports Timeout. Joe, how are you this weekend?
Well, I think I'm in a much better mood, Ken, than this time last week. A couple of wins will do that for you, and uh, and getting rid of one of my all-time favorite players to not like, Timothy Liljegren, has moved on to the San Jose Sharks. So lots to talk about.
Yeah, there's definitely lots to talk about. And let's start with that trade. Now, Matt Benning, does he even see any NHL time here in Toronto, or is he just going to be a buyout, maybe a waiver? I don't know. I've heard conflicting reports on all ends of that, but I do like his feistiness myself. So I wouldn't mind seeing him to replace Connor Timmins. What's your opinion on that, Joe?
Well, I think, it sounds like he's been a healthy scratch for 4 or 5 games in San Jose. He's a minus player, but he's not on a very good team. So, if I'm not mistaken, don't they have James Reimer as a goalie? Um,
Well, they
so
don't anymore. He's actually off to Anaheim now through Detroit.
okay, so
Through who knows hell.
who knows who they got in net. So, I think you and I have talked a lot about this depth defenseman. You need defensemen, especially going into the playoffs. You're going to lose 3 or 4 if you're planning on going on a long run. So, by my math, you need 10, 12 defensemen ready to go for a long playoff run. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a couple of looks up here with the big club just to see what he's at and what he needs to work on. Keep in mind we're over the roster now. Yanni Hakanpää and Connor Dewar, as of November 1st, are on this roster, and we've got Connor Timmins and Philippe Myers. So we've got too many players right now. So there's more moves that are going to be happening very, very shortly. The easiest one, I guess, would be to try to put Philippe Myers and maybe Connor Timmins on waivers to see if they can clear and send them down to the Marlies. Not sure if one of them gets
I
picked up, but can you remember a time when the Leafs had so many options at defense? I can't.
Yeah, well, actually, I was listening to a show not too long ago. We have 9 ready defensemen for sure. And in a long season, we're going to need probably just that. I believe Philip Myers is on a 2-way contract, so he's going to clear. I think I'm right. I heard that in this other podcast, and I was actually surprised by hearing that. So, but Connor Timmins, he's definitely one that could be on the outside looking in once Hakanpää is actually ready to go. And like you said, he could be ready to go momentarily, really. And as far as Matt Benning, um, yeah, you're right. He was scratched 4 to 5 games, but he does play that feistiness type of hockey that Craig Berube likes here in Toronto. So he might just earn a stay around a little bit. He only gets paid 1.25 million, which is a lot better than that 3.1 million that was sitting in the press box in Timothy Liljegren.
So wish Timothy Liljegren. I think he needs a fresh start. He just never panned out. A first overall pick that the Leafs had high hopes for, running their blue line in the power play. But when you think of Timothy Liljegren, what did he bring to the table that you went, yeah, is it he's not physical? His defensive game was lacking. He doesn't have a big shot. Skating, okay, but did he ever demonstrate skating the puck out of the zone? I know they keep saying puck moving defenseman. Did he block shots? Did he clear the front of the net? Like, I'm trying to think, what did he ever bring to the Leafs that made them think he was so valuable, other than the right-handed shot, which he has a lousy shot. So I wish him the best, but you can certainly see how Tree Living and Berube are slowly shaping this lineup to be big and formidable and tough and strong. And music to my ears, Ken.
Oh, Timothy Liljegren did throw one hit in that
Oh, one
Boston
hit.
game. And I think that's the only hit I've seen him hit and maybe throw in the last 3 years. And it was followed up by a double hit from the Boston players. And I don't know if he's going to be throwing a hit anytime soon. He might just go there to San Jose. He's going to get top line minutes. He's going to get on that top power play there. You never know. He might pile up some points like some players on bad teams can do. And good luck to him if he can. All
I
the
heard
best.
yesterday
But
they were. I heard yesterday the Scotiabank crew was in the corner taking the glass out because his face was imprinted in it so many times. So they're going to put a fresh pane of glass there. So
as you say, I'm sorry, Paul Hendrick, Henny, but the Leafs actually threw the bathwater out with the baby in this one.
well, again, just not the type of player that Berube wants. And I'm going to talk a lot about another player that's high on my radar that I think is it's not long for this team, and his initials are NR, but we'll get to that in a minute. I think they really realize that physicality and size, if you're not prepared to do that and play Berube's way, you better be bringing something else to the table. And I don't think Liljegren was doing that. And the one game he played, we talked about that a couple of shows ago, what we thought about it. And I thought it was at best as a stretch average. But for a guy that was coming out fighting with knowing that the defensemen were there to take his spot, you thought he would come out just absolutely roaring. And his training camp was underwhelming. His game he played was just so it's almost like he didn't want to be here and was looking for a change. And kind of, I'm wondering if he forced the management's hand by going, you know what, you're paying me $3 million a year, and it's not working out for me here. I'm not going to kill myself for you guys. You got way more guys that you're planning on using. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the background there was just get me out of here. I'm not fitting in your thing, and I'm good with that. And it was mutually agreed all around.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think his time is due to go, and I believe that Tree Living got a fair package in return for him in that third rounder. Although it's an Edmonton or Colorado pick, whichever one is the better pick. But yeah, both those teams have had a bad start to their seasons. But do we expect them to be at the bottom of the league and be a high third round pick? It's probably going to be closer to mid pack to late third round. And a sixth round, though, and with Matt Betting, I don't see that as a bad trade at all.
No, I think I would take that any day of the week. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. But what I like about Tree Living, again, is he's slowly stockpiling assets, whether it's for trade deadline capital or to just augment this organization. And when you look at our defensive production of people we've brought up through the system, Morgan Riley, Liljegren didn't work out. Rasmus Sandin is now having a good season so far in Washington. But other than that, I'm hard pressed to think of players that the Leafs drafted and developed as far as defensemen go that actually made a significant impact for quite a long time. And I think Brad Tree Living is changing that. I think he wants to change that. We need to change that. Our draft record is horrible. We have not drafted well. I think I heard yesterday the last 33 picks, only 3 have ever made the NHL.
In hindsight, Joe, there's 3 forwards that are doing quite well that are handpicked and drafted by the Maple Leafs, and that's Matthew Knies, Austin Matthews, and Mitch Marner at the top of that lineup. Wow, are they playing great hockey? And can we get any better with that John Tavares, Nylander, and Pax Reddy connection? That was just on fire in that last game against who did we just? I'm having a mind blip here. Who did we just beat 4-1?
Oh, the Seattle Kraken.
Seattle Kraken. My God, how do I forget that? Right?
Forgettable. No, you're right. I love that line. Pacioretty, please stay healthy. I'd love to see that line stick together. Man, they were some beautiful goals the other night. It's almost like they knew where each other was. And I'm going to give credit to John Tavares. 10 points in the first 10 games of the season. Considering he's battling an illness, he has become the 5th Leaf all-time, 34 or older, to get 10 points in his first 10 games at least. Can you name the other 4? This is my quiz for you today. Name the other 4 Leafs over 34 that got at least 10 points in the first 10 games of the season.
Well, I don't know. It's probably a long time ago.
Not necessarily. No, it's not as far back as you think.
No. Matt Sundin?
That's one of them. Yep, absolutely.
Daryl Sittler?
Nope.
No, I guess he was gone by then, right? George Armstrong?
No, later, much later.
I don't know. I got one for you.
Well, we'll go Dave Keon. We have Matt Sundin. We
Wendell
have,
Clark.
sorry?
Wendell Clark.
No, not Wendell Clark.
Doug
We have
Gilmore.
Jumbo Joe Thornton, which blew me
Okay.
away.
Yeah.
And Jason Blake. That's the name that I would never have got in a million years. Those were the four. So Jumbo Joe Thornton, I guess when he first played for the Leafs that first season, I believe they started him on Matthews and Marner's line, and I guess he got 10 points, or at least 10 points in the first 10 games, and then he fell off the rails after that. But I didn't know that. So there you go. A little bit of trivia for you today, Ken.
No, I didn't know that either.
So yeah, anyway, it's a great line. I hope it clicks. They got to stay healthy. But what can you say about Johnny Toronto? Uh, Class act. He's busting his hump out there. He was pretty
Well,
sick the first part of the season. So you know what? For him to get 10 points in 10 games on the second, and he's also played the third line this year. Kudos to him.
yeah, I have a question for you on this situation exactly, Joe. Has the less pressure of not being the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs played a role in John Tavares getting that 10 points in his first 10 games?
You are 100% right. There's no question in my mind. And that's what I kind of was hoping was going to happen. Listen, being captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs or Montreal Canadiens or, the big marquee teams, that's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that you're involved in as the mediator between coaching and management and the players. And to take that workload off him and just let him focus on playing the best hockey he can to finish out his career, I think has done him wonders. And you know what? He handled the captaincy, I don't want to say removal, but transition with utmost class. He's come in this season. He's shut his mouth. He's done his work. I can't say enough about this guy, and I think we're really, really lucky to have him. My question back to you is: at the end of the season, he's a free agent. Would you be interested in having him back?
You know what? I don't think he's going to last till the end of the year. I think they're going to negotiate. I believe I'm hearing they're negotiating throughout this season. I think there's something that's going to be done long before the end of the year, and he's not going to get to that point. That's just my feelings on it. And if he continues to produce at this rate, it's only going to drive that up. And I was thinking around a 4 million to start, but this is looking like more like a 5 to 5.5, possibly $6 million contract over a 3 year. We can get him that fourth year. Maybe we can drive it back down to 5.
Well, I think, and I've heard this somewhere, and I don't have it in front of me. I think he has to have at least half of his salary minimum for next year. So that's five,
And a
almost
half.
6 million. So he's 11 point something. So I think he needs 5.5, 6. 4 years worries me a little bit. Getting that extra year. I mean, he's going to be 40 years old.
Joe, there's
I'd
always
like
Robert Island.
Robida Island, yeah, Joffrey Lupo.
I'm
Yeah.
sure Chris Tanev might be seeing that at some point in his
Yeah.
his contract.
Is that the way you want to go out for someone like John Tavares? I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves. I'd like to see a nice 2 year deal at 5.5 per, and have him as a third line center. But I also would like to see him on the wing. But he is good on the draws, and we'll see. I mean, he's having a great season so far. God forbid an injury or something like that could happen. But to circle back on this whole subject, it certainly is nice to see the Leafs have a second line that seems to be clicking. I know it's early; it's only been a couple of games, but I'll take it from what I see right now. But someone else they're going to be working on, Matthew Nyes, is going to be getting a contract extension, and he is going to get paid. That young man, I believe he has 6 goals so far this season, is big. He looks much bigger. He's playing much bigger. Holy cow. Craig Berube compared him to Keith Kachuk and a couple other power forwards. I'm like, oh, wow, he's got potential, this kid. I love it.
Yeah, well, he has actually put on 10 pounds over the off season, so he's weighing in at 227, standing at 6'3.5". So he is a physical force. There isn't that many forwards with skill in the league that play like he does, and that's very true, which will allow him to be paid, and hopefully we can keep it down a little bit. Although the payroll is going up by I believe 4.25 million increase next year. So I think that will help. And actually, if we even pay Tavares that $6 million, we still have an extra $5 million there that we have to play with, right?
Well, don't forget, we have a number 16 we need to sign next year.
I don't know if we do, though. I don't know if we do, Joe. I think we're using Mitch Marner as our own rental. So
That's a
I
good
think he's
point. We'll
going
have
to
to
play
see,
it
but
out.
that
I think
that's
he'll play it out, and in return, if he walks, we get cap space. And there's other players out there that might fit the tree living Berube style, maybe more come next year. But this year, let's just be happy with watching some of the magic that Mitch Marner can make out there. And it's evident when he's on his game that he's on his game, and just hope that some of this Berube style of hockey sinks in. You know what? I just listened to this Jeremy Roenick take, and usually I don't like too much what Jeremy Roenick has to say about the Toronto Maple Leafs, but he said, you know what? Craig Berube, he's going to make a difference in that dressing room, and if that team buys into Craig Berube, Craig Berube is selling by the end of this year, I could very well see this team in the Stanley Cup Finals. So I'm kind of liking what Jeremy Roenick's got to say, and let's just hope that's true, and that will dull in maybe the fact that we might lose Mitch Marner next year if we can make it through a few rounds, right?
I would suggest that the Leafs will have a decision to make. Do they want Mitch Marner that bad? And if they do, it's probably at the expense of John Tavares not being able to come back. But maybe they find an off ice role for him. Who knows? It's early. But the Leafs are going to have some huge decisions to make, and it will all depend on how Marner does in the playoffs. You know it, and I know it. If he goes AWOL again, then I would say the Leafs are probably going to let him walk and use that cap space for signing someone else. I don't know how Mr. Matthews would feel about losing Mitch Marner. We'll have to wait and see. We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but my rant last week, obviously I'm in a much better mood this week. I apologize to all our viewers because I was a little bit perturbed at losing games to Columbus and St. Louis brutally like we did. And thank you, Ken, for keeping me focused and reminding me that it is early. And it's going to take them 20, 25 games to get into the flow of this system. I think they got ahead of themselves last week. They had a nice win against Tampa Bay, and then they decided to take the foot off the gas, forget what they did, get a little too cute, and that cost them a couple of games. They're going to have to learn not to do that, obviously.
Yeah.
And we got a big one coming up tonight.
Yeah, another
Back in St. Louis.
revenge game. Berube's second chance and his first game coaching against St. Louis in St. Louis. So that's going to be something. And I want to say, you know what? It's evident the difference between Craig Berube on that bench from our former coach and the fact just his last game. Although I believe the Leafs played Berube's style hockey in that 4-1 win against the Seattle Kraken. But when Nylander didn't get that puck deep, we all seen what Berube was saying to Nylander, the guy who scored 2 beautiful goals in this game, how he was speaking to him on the bench, holding him accountable for not getting that puck deep. And that's what he should have done. And that's the way Berube wants to see him play by the end of the year, regardless if he's got 7 goals already in 10 games.
Yeah, every one of our core 4 has been chewed out by a Berube at least once this season. Willie seems to have had it a few times. Austin Matthews has. Mitch Marner has. I know John Tavares was early in the season as well for making bad giveaways. What I really, really like philosophically about that is everyone is becoming more equal. It's not the elite 4 and then the rest of the team. It's if I'm going to yell at Steve Lorentz or David Kampf, I'm going to yell at Austin Matthews. And you're absolutely right, Ken. Willie is Willie. He is going to have his brain farts and be lackadaisical. He is a true goal-scoring sniper, no question. He's asked for more ice time. He's not getting it as we speak. And I kind of like that Berube is going, you don't just ask for it, go to the media, which I didn't like. I didn't like that he made that public. That's behind closed doors conversation. And I'm sure that was discussed after, going, why are you bringing our dirty laundry here? you score goals, you'll get played. But I know he's not been on the penalty kill, and that's where he's missing his minutes. He's down about 2 minutes a game because he's not on the penalty kill. Now that's to come. It's early in the season; they'll figure it out.
Do
But
you
I
know
think
why
Matthews
though?
and Marner are doing such a good job killing penalties.
Exactly. Bingo. Austin Matthews is the reason William Nylander's not getting any play time on the penalty kill because he's doing a great job, right? And you know what? I want to highlight that pool style 8 ball in the corner off the boards from Matthews. Wow, right in the center of the net. Very impressive.
Thank goodness, because that was my last Tim Hortons pick, so he came through for me and got me.
You too, right? I'm on a 4-day now. Thanks for reminding me. I gotta pick my picks.
I'm on day 3, so we're doing okay. I got up to 6 one point this year, but I learned not to pick any Edmonton Oilers, and I was doing that at the beginning of the year. Anyway,
Zach Hyman scored his first goal.
Yeah, hallelujah. It's been a long time coming, a lot of pressure, but you know what? When Connor's not there, Edmonton tends to step up, and there are secondary players. I shouldn't say secondary. Draisaitl and Hyman aren't. They tend to do okay without him, and he was already skating, so I don't think he's going to be 2 weeks. I think he'll be 1 week probably, and he'll be back. But anyway, yeah, that was a really, really nice shot. He, no doubt in my mind, he planned that because he really had no other options without icing the puck. So good play on Matthews, and they're still developing. They got lots of work ahead of them. But let's talk about Nick Roberts, who was on the 4th line last night. Go ahead.
Back in the lineup.
Didn't think he was going to play. All reports were Stolarz was starting, and he wasn't going to be in the lineup. And then the game puck dropped, and guess what? Joseph Wall's in net, and he's in the lineup at the expense of Ryan Reeves. So, which made sense because Seattle doesn't have any intimidating fighters that we need to worry about. I think that was a good move. But Nick Roberts on the 4th line, to me, it's a waste. It's just throwing him out there to see maybe how he reacts. But the writing is on the wall as far as I'm concerned. He is not a tree living Craig Berube type player. He's not big. He's not physical. Lots of talent. He needs to play first and second line minutes on another team to get his confidence up, get his scoring. That's my opinion. I think he's on his way out.
Well, yes, and the rumor is that the Los Angeles Kings are right on his heels, and they would love to make a move for Mr. Nick Robertson. So let's see how that pans out. We do need to, as you pointed out earlier, to move out some more contracts. So that would be where we'd be able to at least alleviate a little bit of money.
Yeah, we can't just keep throwing the kid out there on the 3rd and 4th line. It's a waste of time. Not that David Kampf is not a playmaker, but he's not. Nor is Pontus Holmberg. So let's get this kid a fresh start and wish him well. He just doesn't fit the mold here. So I think before Christmas, if not sooner, we're going to see him probably wearing the colors of another team if he doesn't get hurt. But I just didn't see the point of putting him in on 4th line minutes. I know they moved him up to 3rd line for a couple of shifts. I don't think he got any PP time last night. So I'm sure he would welcome a fresh start on another team to pot some goals.
And hopefully he's not playing when he comes to Toronto.
Well, they were joking the other day saying, guess what was going to happen to Liljegren? Liljegren will go. He'll have a forge out a decent career. And then in 4 or 5 years from now, we'll get him in the end of his career. We'll re-sign him as a free agent to come back and play defense for us. I sure hope not. But that's been the Leafs of the past. That's not going to be the Leafs of the future. So the bottom line is I like the direction the Leafs are going. I like the fact they're getting bigger and tougher. I like the fact they're holding themselves more accountable. But what I like the most is if Joseph Wall plays like he did a couple of nights ago, that goaltending tandem, wow.
Well, that's exactly where I wanted to go. Joseph Wall. It's funny. I went to a friend's house because my son's away for Halloween. By the way, happy Halloween, Joe. Although the pumpkin's kind of falling on me right now.
That's okay. Pretty soon you have a Christmas wreath there. So
yeah. So happy Halloween. I hope you had a good day. My son's visiting his mom. But anyway, so I had some free time to go to a friend's house, and there was a couple of guys around watching the game. And at the very start of the game, although they had a couple of beers into him, at the time he said, "Do the Leafs not want to win? Why are they starting Joseph Woll?" And I said, "Whoa, what do you mean? Why are they starting Joseph Woll?" Right? and he went out and done exactly what I told him. Joseph Woll, you have to give him a chance to do. He has only seen one game. You can't really judge him on that one game. Or can you really judge him on this game? Right? He's only got 2 games in. Let's just hope that he continues to play like that. I didn't see any moments that he came up looking like he was injured. So that's a good sign. And exactly, let's just hope he keeps playing like that. And Stellars can be 1A and he can continue to be our 1B. Fight for that job.
He played very, very controlled, very smart game. He looked so much better than his first game. To me, right off the hop, he made a couple of saves, and that's key for goalies. You want to make that stop the early 1 or 2 shots, which he did. Get you in the groove, get you feeling it, get you a bit confident. I didn't think he made any mistakes last night. That goal they scored to break the shutout a couple of nights ago. He couldn't have seen that. There were so many bodies in front, and it was a shot in the corner. So he played, as far as I'm concerned, as good a game as you can. The question I have for you tonight, in his hometown of St. Louis, do we put him back in there?
Well, sentimental value, why not, right? He played a hell of a game. Stellars has already played quite a few games this season. If he continues the pace of how many games he's actually started this year, he'll probably get close to double his amount of career starts. And I guess that's not really that bad if we have Stellars for 50. But I don't know, Joe. Lately, I've been saying the other goalie on our sports update on the radio. And in fact, it's been someone completely different in the net. So I haven't really gauged what Coach Berube will do.
Well, I think Wall earned another start. But again, with his injury, do you want to push it or do you want to test it? Do you want to push him to see if he can do it, or do you want to test it? Go, you're going to do it, and we're going to see if you come out of this scathed. Then we know we pretty much got the problems behind us. I don't know. The Leafs have a busy week. They have another one coming up, and they can tag Anthony Stolarz for that one.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's lots of work to go around, and I think that if you tell me now that Joseph Woll plays 50 games, I'd be shocked. A, healthy, and B, that he would get that many over Stolarz. So that makes for interesting discussion, interesting debate, and we're going to see how it goes. The goalies are
actually, Joe, I said Stellars 50.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Wall 50. Yeah.
No, I think Stellars is going to get the majority of the games still this year if he continues performing the way he does, and his team is really confident in front of him. If that continues, I don't see any reason that Stellars isn't the number 1 goalie by the end of the year.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it all depends on health. And if Joseph Woll goes down again at some point, then we got to look at who's coming up. And is it Matt Murray, who's having a decent season with the Marlies and could be traded at the deadline? Matt Murray, and you got Dennis Hildeby, who needs some more seasoning down there. And they have a Russian goalie who's playing very, very well as well. So you got 3 very capable goalies. The Marlies are off to a great start.
It would be Matt Murray for sure. But the only way they're going to pull Matt Murray to the NHL level, because he's obviously probably not going to clear waivers to go back down, unless maybe just everyone doesn't need a goalie in the NHL. But if anyone's going to need a goalie, he's not going to clear waivers again.
I got a few teams. Colorado Rockies can sure use a goalie.
Exactly.
Jose Sharks, the Vegas Golden Knights. Samsonov is getting torched. He's doing his usual beginning of the season stuff. So I think that Matt Murray, come trade deadline, if he continues to play well, there'll be teams looking for goaltending. I think that's a trade piece that you want our goalie. That's our insurance. You're going to have to pay for it and get us something decent in return. What that is, who knows? But I think it's nice. It's nice to have these options. We've never had these options in the Marlies before. And if we send down Myers or Timmins and Benning, like, we're just adding. Like, just look at the stock on that team. It's getting better and better. And I can't remember a time when it's looked so stocked in such a short period of time.
Yes, you're right. It's looking really good down there. Well, anyway, Joe, it's been great to catch up with you. I do want to share a few Halloween stories. I have a friend. She's from Montreal, and she sends me these Montreal Habs thing. You know what? She supports her hometown team just like I do. But she sent me a picture and it said, it's a Habs Halloween. And my response was, yep, you're right. That's a horror show. So,
oh, they're having a rough season minus Cole Caulfield, who just keeps lighting it up. He's a great
yeah,
player.
I think he's got 10 goals.
And goals to lead the league. Yeah. But it won't last. It's Montreal, and they're struggling. They're struggling to keep the puck out of the net. And that's what they kind of not surprised that's their plan. But hey, isn't it nice to see Boston at the bottom of the standings? I don't know how short-lived it's going to be.
Throbbing by the Carolina Hurricanes.
I love it.
Leaf fans are used to us having that problem, not Boston. So that's great to see Swayman getting lit up. It's still training camp for him.
Yeah, Boston, and you know what? I'm not heartbroken that the New York Yankees choked it away as well. So what goes around comes around. So really nice.
There's
Nice
some
to see tables turn.
former Blue Jays on that team, namely Kevin Kiermaier. Teoscar Hernandez played a great part in that win.
Yeah.
Canadian Freddie Freeman. So
the Dodgers are going to be a force. They're only going to get better. So they're going to be a dynasty for sure because they were not healthy, and look what they did. Next year when they come back healthy, look out, they're going to be even better. So is what it is. And the Blue Jays, it just makes you realize when you look at the Blue Jays how far away we are from being anywhere near remotely close to a competitive baseball team.
So, well, this is what happens when you don't have a hard cap and teams aren't equal. Teams can just stack on stack on stack, and all they're doing is paying a tax overage. It's a luxury tax, so it's nothing a Yankee team or a Los Angeles Dodgers organization can't cover. And I mean, if we had the same thing here in the NHL, the Leafs, in fact, would be that team that could stack and stack and just pay the penalty. So that's something is a different league. But anyway, Joe, before I get a pumpkin in the head, happy Halloween.
Thank you very much. You too, and all the best. And we'll be back next week.
Yes, we'll be back next week. Or maybe you might just be transitioning over to get your attacks in from the Leaf fan panel. I told them that you're being kind of mean, but I'm going to go back and tell them that you had a different attitude this week. So they might not be so snarly at you.
I can't wait to see the boys. I can't wait to get back together with them. Good.
Yeah, if you're more welcome to join there, and we'll have sports timeout in 2 weeks. But if the time doesn't dictate that, we'll be right back here. So we'll see.
Sounds good.
Keep in tune, everyone. Keep hitting that subscribe button. Keep commenting because we hear everything, or at least I do anyway. Joe's a busy guy, but I hear it. I'll answer you. And if you go to Joe's page, I'm sure he'll answer it and see it. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Go Leafs, go. Toronto and St. Louis tonight. 5-2 Maple Leafs.
Oh, okay.
Austin Matthews is going to have a good game. Max Domi deserves to score a goal.
Yep.
And let's showcase Nick Robertson. Score a goal, Nick, please.
If he's playing.
Yeah. My name's Ken. I'm here on Sports Timeout with Joe Moyer. Have a great week. Thank you for joining me on Ken's Corner.